You will not be the same after you watch this video. This video has the potential to completely transform your life, and it'll also save you a lot of time. I've spent since 2012 so much time, hundreds and hundreds of hours of going to seminars, listening to audios, reading books, going through courses to learn and condense what I know about personal transformation into this video. And by the end of it, you're going to have the most simple process that almost all ancient texts talk about. Many processes that I've maybe paid $5,000 to $8,000 for certain seminars to go to. I'm going to share all of that with you in this video. This is what I learned from reading, listening to, and consuming over 1,000 hours of personal transformation content. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now, on this video, I'm going to save you a ton of time, and that's because I'm going to condense a lot of information into a very simple, easy to apply process when it comes to transformation. Now, a lot of what I'm going to tell with you and show you as well, you're going to be able to see in many movies. Any movie that you watch, in that is especially a movie that resonates with a lot of people, it is normally the hero's journey, which means you have some type of hero who then has a certain problem, who then goes on a journey, who then overcomes that problem, and who is then transformed. Now, the thing that I want to share with you is that you may go to those movies and you may watch them. You may enjoy them, but you are the hero of your own movie. You are on the hero's journey, and you are going through a process of self-discovery, a process of self-transformation. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go through that process and how to condense much of this information in such an easy way. And you can apply this process towards just about anything. So what this process has to do with is understanding, and just in general as well, if I look to maybe the Tony Robbins conference I went to, for example, went to Date with Destiny last year with my buddy Victor, and when I was there, it was like 6 days long, and it was very intensive, and there was a certain process that everyone was brought through, and there was certain things I learned about becoming aware of the subconscious beliefs we have about who we are, what he calls our values, so our value system of what we value. He talks a lot about state and how we feel. Whatever you focus on, you feel. And many of it correlates with some of the metaphysics of the law of attraction. Much of it has to do with willpower, taking action. I've also studied that of Dr. Joe Dispenza, who talks a lot about how our personality creates our personal reality, and our personality is how we think, feel, and act. And if we change how we think, feel, and act, we then change our personality, which then changes our personal reality. And he talks about a lot about that. And you'll notice that this little thing right here, I use it a lot because this is going to be so simple for you to understand how to transform. Now, when I look at my own life, I had a certain story, I had a certain identity. Think about this in the form of identity shifting. Much of the personal development information that you hear, whether that is from Tony Robbins or many other people, they have been influenced by a guy named Maxwell Maltz, who wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics back in the day. And this book called Psycho-Cybernetics had to do with self-image and identity. What this guy was is he realized that his clients, he was a plastic surgeon, his clients went through a process of, after they would have plastic surgery, it would take them time in order for them to change their mental self-image for the experiencing the internal change. So even though the outer changed, their fit, how they looked, it would not change until they changed their inner self-image. And what he became aware of is that everyone has an inner self-image that is subconscious, that is running the show. And we will do anything we possibly can to remain consistent to this self-image, even sabotage ourselves, until we become aware of it, until we break out of it. Tony Robbins, many other personal self-help, I've got a bookshelf right behind me, and many other self-development books talk about the self-image in some way or another. That's why they say you don't get in life always that what you want, but you always get a reflection of who you are. Transformation is about shifting your identity. Think about people that go on the hero's journey. They have a certain identity. Look at the movie Limitless is coming to mind right now with Bradley Cooper. He is this guy that was like, couldn't focus. He had long hair. He was sloppy. He had nothing going from his life. His girlfriend just broke up with him. He was in a lot of pain. He had a challenge. Then what happens is he has another challenge. He has this person that comes along, that's his ex's like brother or something like that, and gives him some type of little pill that then makes him like superhuman genius guy. And then he becomes smart, and he becomes, that movie really wasn't about that much transformation though, because it was, the power was in a pill rather than the power, but that movie could have been way more amazing if there was some type of internal transformation versus just a pill. But if you look in general, you look at the movie The Matrix. I was watching that last night. The movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. There's a hero who has a problem. He's going through the philosopher's journey of waking up. And then he has to go through a process of literally saving the world. And there's a flow through that. Now, in the same way, it's a shift in identity. He went from this guy that was asleep, that was working a 9-to-5 job that he hated, he was like hacking software stuff at night, doing stuff that was illegal. And then what happened is it transformed his identity. And one of the things he had to do is he had to unlearn that which he learned in order to become who he wanted to be. So if you want me to condense all this information, and if you watch my videos, then you know I've made over 1,500 videos. I've read many, many books. I've read many books. I've been in many seminars. So this is what I have learned just in general, even the Toltecs you could study. Here it is. This is your current identity. Your current identity has a certain story. Your current identity has a certain story that you've been living on autopilot. That story has been very comfortable. This identity right here, when we are born, we begin to identify with our identity. We begin to think that this identity, which is really an avatar. We're internal spiritual beings, live in temporary human experiences through this meat flesh body. And what we end up doing is we end up identifying with our avatar because that's what we learned growing up. And then what happens is we have a certain story we tell ourselves, maybe certain limitations, maybe we were treated a certain way. We've then made rules and labels that then keep us enslaved. And you'll see I have this prison system around it, and he said rules and labels. You are free to do and be and have whatever you want in life, but you may tell yourself a story. No, I can't do that. I'm a shy person. No, I can't do that. My parents will judge me. No, I can't go for that because I won't accomplish it and I'll fail. These are all rules and labels. I used to tell myself a story and I'd be like, I have ADHD. That's what a doctor told me. This is how I have to be. And then eventually, what I did is I became aware that I was agreeing to it. One of the if you remember in the movie The Matrix, he swallows the red pill, and then he eventually rejects it. It's a very common part of it in that of The Matrix. He's going through the process of awakening, and then Morpheus is telling him, hey, none of this is real. None of this is real. And everybody is here believing in it, and that is why it's real. And it becomes such a shock to him, and he wants to spit it back up. Because that uncertainty is a little bit scary. You see, our ego, think of this. This is the ego avatar. Your ego avatar just wants to survive. That's it. Nothing extra. That's why we have this subconscious self-image that's like we're trying to go beyond that self-image, and the ego's kicking in like, why are you trying to go beyond? This is uncomfortable. This is uncertain. You don't know what'll happen. Just stay in your little box of making $50,000 a year and doing this and doing that. And then you might sabotage yourself. That's because you can become aware that this ego, this avatar, is just trying to survive. That's it. The ego wants to survive and the ego wants to be right. But when you can begin to let that go, that's when you begin to become free. If you look at my story, many of you have seen maybe many of my videos, you've been watching my videos for a while, and you know I tell similar stories in it about my past, just so people understand that I've been through a certain process of my own transformation. And basically it was, had ADHD, worked a 9-to-5 job I hated, had an abusive past from an abusive ex-stepmom from 7 to 15 years old, felt unworthy, and I was just at a place I didn't want to be. Then what happened is I had to let that identity go by becoming aware of it, and then unwire it, unfamiliarize myself with it, unlearn it by also realizing the truth. The truth is that I was living in a comfortable little box. And once I became aware of that, I could then start to get out of the prison system. And one of the ways you get out of the prison system of the survival mode of your ego is you start to meditate. You start to observe your thoughts. Many great thinkers, many great personal development teachers do talk about some form of meditation. Tony Robbins calls it priming. We have ways of anchoring ourselves, but just in general, getting into a certain state to where we become aware of these things is very key. Awareness is key. Now, what you'll notice is that first what you do is you become aware, and they say that in transformation, there's levels to which you then decide to transform. Any single one of you could transform like this. And think about it. How long does it take to transform? It takes a second. It just takes people a long time to decide no. Or to decide I'm not going to do this again. Or to decide I'm going to go for this. I was going to go daily on YouTube, but I didn't do it for like 6 months to 8 months. So did it take me 6 to 8 months? Well, no, it took me a minute. It's just that it took me that long to get to the point to where it took a minute. So transformation can happen very quick, but one of the keys to transformation is becoming what is called satiated with where you are. So familiar, so wired in, so certain that you just get bored. And then eventually what you do is you want a new experience. So that what happens is you're either bored or you're in pain. I had the pain of my ex-stepmom from 7 to 15 that made me, I was feeling unworthy, and then I had to learn how to get out of that craziness and the ADHD of not being able to focus. I was like, I need something else, and that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to learn meditation. I never would have wanted to meditate. It sounds so boring. But then what I did is I saw the research on it, and I said, okay, well, this will help me not have to take Adderall, the prescription drug they give for ADHD, which had harsh side effects. If you can't eat very much, you can't sleep very much. So what I did is you then get to a place of being satiated, and then you get to a place to where you feel in pain and you want out. A lot of people, that's why they say when people hit rock bottom, then they can only go up, because once you hit that place, then it's like, I got to get out of here. There's no other option. But some people are so comfortable with where they are. It's like they're in a boiling pot of water, a boiling pot of water. If you throw a frog in there, it jumps out. But if you put it in lukewarm water and heat it up to a boil, it'll boil itself to death because it doesn't know what's in it. Most people are so wired in, so familiar, so much uncertainty that they don't know they're in this gradual decline. They're not, maybe they're too satiated, but they're not enough pain yet. My advice to you is to not let it get to that point, to make a choice about who you are. Now, the next step of this process is becoming aware of your future identity, the way you prefer to be. And then what you do is you become very aware of this. How does that future version of you think, feel, and act? Make sure this future version of you, which exists right now, by the way, it's quantum physics, it's whole other conversation, talks about that of imagining that future version of you, how you think, feel, and act. And then as you begin to visualize that, make sure it's connected to your passion, your purpose, because that will really drive you. As you begin to feel into that, you're going to begin to relate to this person more and more. You then have a vision of something to move towards. Most people just don't have goals. So what you can then do, and the bridge to where you are, the old identity, old story of shifting into this reality of this new version of you, which means you're going to wire in a new way of being that's not comfortable. You're going to have new experiences. You're going to jump into new things that are uncertain. You can only create something new by jumping into new experiences. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. You'll just continue to get it. So new experiences is where you can experience something new. And then you wire in this identity. And the bridge is intention and action. Intention and action are actually the same thing. Intention is a declaration of some outcome. And as you begin to act in it, you begin to wire it in. So my old identity, look at any transformation you've ever seen. My old identity was that I'm unworthy, my painful past, that I had to take Adderall in order to get by. I was working a 9-to-5 job I wasn't passionate about. I became aware of this identity. I became aware of the truth that I live in a box. This is, I feel so satiated. I worked for 10 years selling women's shoes, making 60 to 80K a year. But I hated it. And then I decided one moment really, I decided this isn't really me. I'm going to unwire this in and wire this version of me in. So I started making daily videos on YouTube with action, and I started learning marketing, and I started doing all these things. I knew that future version of me learned marketing. I knew that future version of me had different skill sets. I knew that future version of me was more open to new experiences. And what I did is I just decided to be that version of me. And then as I did, I then became more comfortable. I literally used to be lazy. I don't know if you guys know this. People look at me like, Aaron makes daily videos on YouTube. He emails people all the time. I have an email list. I have all these things I do. But I used to be like waiting on the couch, waiting to manifest things, not doing anything, not wanting to take any action. But then eventually I started to take action, the bridge, and I began to be that version of me. Remember, you don't always get in life what you want, but you always get a reflection of who you are being. Being it, sorry, passion is about being. Doing is about doing something you're not passionate about. Passionate, you're being it, you're in it, you're creative, you're in flow. So the way that you transform this is super simple. The way you transform is you look at your current identity and the future identity you want to be. You unlearn that which you've learned by becoming aware of it. And this is like Neo. Neo had to unlearn everything he thought he knew so that he could then be who he really was meant to be, which is the one. Now, Neo's on the hero's journey just like you are. You are Neo. Neo, N-E-O, actually rearranges to mean one. You are the one. You are the one. You are unlearning that which you've learned, that you're unworthy, you have to work a 9-to-5 job you hate, yet that you only attract bad people into your life, that you absorb people's energy, that you're shy. These are all just things that you've learned, the rules and labels that you've decided on. What you can do is unlearn that and then start being, with action and intention, this version of you. Eventually, your reality will change, but you have to hold the frame. And the process you go through is going to change your identity until eventually you say, this is just who I am. I literally went from a 9-to-5 job that I hated and all this resistance in my life to live in my dream life using this process. I call it SHIFT. Story, becoming aware of the story and the beliefs about who you are. Healing is about doing the work and the shadow work, becoming aware of it, loving yourself, inner child work, and then you're able to let it go. And then I is intention and action, the bridge to F and T, frequency and transformation. Frequency is that future version of you, and then T is just deciding that that's who you are now. You can just decide it, and then be it. And then you'll be wiring it in. It doesn't feel natural at first. All it means is it's not familiar, but eventually you wire it in, and this process along the way. And one of the things that you do in S and H is you reframe the meaning of your past, because you realize that you're the hero of your own movie. You're not a cameo in anyone else's movie, and that you can then give it meaning. One of the biggest things in life you'll learn with personal transformation in general as well is that everything in life is absolutely meaningless other than the meaning we give it. So when you look at your past, and the things and the stories and the things that happen to you on your timeline, when you can relate to it in a new way by changing the meaning of it in the past, you then change the way that you relate to it now in the present moment, which then frees yourself from all of this. So SHIFT is you shifting into this reality. And you can do it right meow. Okay? Didn't expect that, did you? You were expecting me to not go meow, but I freaking meowed. Meow. Okay? It's uncertain. It's a new experience. It's a new identity. And then here's the thing. The more I meow like that, the more you see me like that, and the more that I would then feel that meow, that like relaxation, not relaxation, that new sense of identity of just being playful. And then eventually it'd become just who I am. You guys have seen my videos where I have very, very, very out there, fun energy. And then you've seen it where I've had very serious videos. Most of this video has been very serious because I want you to transform. But the more that I just allow myself to just meow like that, the more that you then wire in a new way of being, okay? Then the more you see me. And one of the biggest challenges you'll come up to as well is you're gonna start to see yourself this way, and other people you know in your life that know you as this person, they're like, what the hell are you doing? Get back to the old, miserable, limiting, rules and labeled, boxed you. Why are you trying to be different? You're challenging my perception of you, and I don't like that. And then what you realize is that you have to hold the frame. That's why sometimes it helps people to go like move to a new city. That makes it way easier because they're not anchored by their environment and they don't have a whole bunch of people holding them in this vibrational place of like, this is the way I expect you to be. So remember, meow. Okay? Everyone do it with me right now. Meow. If you haven't already, can you meow, like this video and subscribe because I've got more coming. Okay? Break out of this identity, be this identity. Transformation. Hold the frame. Don't let other people influence you to stay the same. because you have a vision of who you're meant to be. Action, intention is that bridge. I have a video on raising your dominant vibration permanently that will help to wire some of this in. Click it right here. You can also click it below. And that, as always, I'll talk to you on the next video. Peace, much love, and meow.